Hello everyone, I'm Brock. So today let's keep working on another LeetCode quiz. This question is equal row and column pairs. Given an indexed n by n integer in matrix grid, return the number of pairs Ricj such that row Ri and column j are equal. A row and a column pair is considered equal if they contain the same elements in the same order, which is an equal array. I think that this question, the requirement is pretty straightforward. So we can start by a test case. Let's have a input grid. Let's say, let's get a 3 by 3. Okay. So step 1, we need to know the length of the grid, right? So we can get the grid length. In this case is 3. Okay. Then we need to iterate each rows, right? So we need to build row counts by iterating each rows, which means we start from the first row, right? And then we can get the first row as 777, right? And we can put it in a tuple. So we can put it in a tuple, which will be 777, right? And then we can calculate the counts. How many times it has appeared, right? Because that's an important factor which affects how we calculate. So the counts can be will be 1. Seven, 7, 7. Similarly, we move on to first row. And we get counts as 2, right? Because it happened for 2 times. And then we move to row 2. Seven, 7, 7. Then what do we need to do? Then we need to build a column list, right? So for each column J, we can build column list and compare with row counts. What does that mean? It means that we began to go through the columns. So J is equal to 0, then column will be 7, 7, 7. right? And similarly, let's have a tuple to put it in tuple. And then we try to find how many times it has happened. It has shown up in the rows, right? Then we find 3. So now the count will become 3. Then we go to J. Again, we found it show up for 3 times. So the count go to 6. Then we go to Q and we found the count become to 9. Make sense? So in this way, we go through all the rows and columns, and we're good to get the final answer, right? Which is 9. Okay, I think that this example help us to figure out how we want to calculate, fix this, solve this problem. The input is grid, which is a list int, and the return type is int. So as I mentioned, let's get the length of the grid first, which is the number of the rows. And then we use row counts, right? Create an empty dictionary to map row tuples to their frequency. And then we began to iterate the rows. Row is grid I. Row T is tuple row. And then we need to use a dictionary to fetch the current count and increment it by 1, right? So counts, row T, row counts, and let's get its key. Row T 0 plus 1, right? Increment the frequency. Count is 0. And then we began to iterate each column. Right? At the very beginning, column is nothing. We start from an empty list for the J's column. Right? Then we began to iterate. Each one. And grade ij, right? The ith row, the jth column, and we want to add the value to the column list. Okay, and then we put it in tuple as well, right? And if we find the column appeared, matched something in the row counts, then what do we do? Then we say, okay, we find it, so we will increment the counter, right? And depends on how many times it appeared. Then we will, iterate. Yeah, we will iterate by so many times, and then we return count, right? So for this question, I think the basic idea is we iterate each row first, then we iterate each column, right? Let's try to run it first. Okay, here's something wrong. Okay, let's quickly check what's going on. So count is 0. Initialize. Then for j in range, column is empty. The grid. Put the column in value. Then put a column in the tuple. And then if we find it in the row counts, then the count will increment by 1. Logic sounds like okay again. Maybe we return. Oh, my bad. Again, it's the issue is about the indentation. Okay, let's try it again. Yeah, again, because we don't have, open bracket and close bracket, it's very easy to mess up the indentation. Okay, cool. So the temp complexity here is O(n)2. Yeah, because we do two layer iteration. And the space complexity is O(n). Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much for this LeetCode question. Thank you, everyone. Bye.